AMN DriveTime is sponsored by Aishin, your trusted and reliable source for aftermarket automotive components and technology. Visit AishinAftermarket.com for more information.
Cassie, welcome to AMN DriveTime, sponsored by our good friends at Aishin.
Thank you. So glad to be here and meet you.
Glad to have you. So this is a little bit AMN DriveTime on the road because we are in Las Vegas at the NAPA Now conference in the middle of April, and it's a big couple of days, right?
Huge couple of days.
Have you been busy, or you just been playing craps the whole time?
Totally busy, and we won't talk about the craps table.
Okay. Oh, wow. It hasn't gone so well, huh? So, Cassie, for the benefit of our audience, can you share your background with us and how you got to NAPA and how long you've been at NAPA, et cetera?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined NAPA roughly 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
Prior to that, I've worked for several Fortune 500, Fortune 100 organizations. Spent about 25 years all in total in the HR space.
Okay.
That brought me there. But ultimately, the drive to go to NAPA was really around the value proposition that they presented, right? I really fell in love with their mission of keep America moving. And given that my grandfather started as a technician, and all I remember as a kid growing up in my grandfather's home was him being an automotive technician, it just kind of fit for me, and it fit more holistically because I was able to come to a space where I could grow myself too.
Sure.
So working in a big company, it would have taken me 15 years to learn what I've learned in the last 2.5 years at NAPA, and so I'm very blessed and such a great journey for me.
You know, I've been in this business my whole life, and it's stunning to me how many people are in the business because their father was a tech or their grandfather was a tech. A lot of connection in family experience with the automotive aftermarket, right?
Yeah, I think it's just in our blood somehow.
I think so. So one of the most talked about challenges in our industry today is the tech shortage. I'm sure you're talking about it a lot at NAPA. How big of a need is there currently, in your view, from what you're seeing? And how big do you see the gap getting over the next few years as technology continues to evolve? Is the gap going to lessen? Is it going to expand? What's your and NAPA's view of that?
Good question. So I would say it's been several years in the making that we've had a technician shortage. Vehicles continue to change, right? When you and I were probably growing up, we still had the hand crank windows, and now you push a button, and quite honestly, some of the newer vehicles, you just tell it to roll it down and it does that for us, right? And so as that has evolved, the need for technicians has evolved, the need for skilled technicians has evolved in this, so that's created quite the shortage. As we even look out to the short future, 2027, we're about 800,000 techs short, unfortunately. So if you want perspective, like that's about the size of Atlanta, and if we think about the population there. So it's a huge gap for us. Unfortunately, the trade schools just aren't graduating enough to keep up with that. And so from a NAPA perspective, right, we're kind of all in this space. We need the technicians, our customers need those technicians. So we're very committed for how we can actually disrupt this shortage and really actually excel it for our future industry.
My first car was a Ford Pinto wagon.
Okay.
It was a hand-me-down from my older sister, yellow with the fake wood, but it had the crank handle.
Yes, yes.
I loved it.
Well, I mean, there's something to be said about the crank handle.
Yeah.
Like if the electricity goes out, maybe it still works.
Yeah,
But
it does. It does still work. So talk to us about NAPA's culture. And, you know, culture is so important. The old thing that culture beats strategy, right? You hear that all the time. But talk about NAPA's culture. What makes NAPA stronger and a more successful company about your culture?
yeah, so what I love about NAPA is just the innovation background that we have. If we just go back in time 100 years, NAPA started around the same time as we had the revolution and Model T came out, right? And so if we just think about the need for auto parts and that aftermarket industry that started to transpire at that point as more and more people wanted cars, and that Model T kind of like sparked that for us, it sparked NAPA too. If we fast forward to that, right, we talked a little bit about kind of how the cars are changing and we're having to evolve and have different car parts for ADAS systems and things, right? That innovation is core to who NAPA is. I think the second part is really around collaboration, and it starts with relationships and making sure that we've always got the right collaborative partners that we're partnered up with. And some of that, like if we go back to your tech question, for example, is we've had really good partnerships with Tech Force and Skills USA, and how we're bringing scholarships and bringing educational capabilities to some of the vocational trade industries to really lessen that effect of the shortage. But I would call out those two things, relationship and collaboration, along with innovation being key to who we are from a company.
Yeah, speaking with Bro, relationships are key for him, right?
Absolutely.
Really important. So, Cassie, in celebration of International Women's Day in early March,
Yes.
NAPA gave away 1,000 free copies of the car that she built. It was a kid's book that pays tribute to the women who have paved the way for the next generation of innovators and leaders in automotive technology. Tell us, you must have been right in the middle of that initiative. Tell us about it and the impact that it had.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I go back to collaboration, right, it was truly a collaborative effort with Tech Force and the She Built Foundation to really bring to life a book that our young women could read and see that they could be part of something very different. And the She Built Foundation does a great job of highlighting some of those more male-dominated environments that don't necessarily have female role models and sponsors for. And so this book was really great for our automotive industry when we think about positioning women in a different way. And it's very empowering for a young girl to see that she can be something different versus all of the stereotypes we put on people today, right? And what I love is that ability for them to break away from those stereotypes and say, hey, I can go into this field, I can be an automotive technician, or I can build a car, or I can be a paint person. And it brings me back to my niece, quite honestly, who to me is incredibly precious, but took that alternative path. She didn't go into the 4-year college school, and she's actually an auto tech today, and like against the grain, right? And she's about 30 now, and just watching her grow and excel, and that's where her passion is, and she gets so excited about it. But somebody believed in her, and they positioned her that way when she was in high school. And I think the She Built Foundation does a great job of helping our young girls see that differently so that they can become something very special too.
So Cassie, it's tradition on AMN Drive Time to do something called Lightning Round.
Okay.
And we're just going to ask you some questions. You're just going to give us a quick answer.
All right.
If you could switch roles, and this is perfect question for an HR person, by the way. If you could switch roles with anyone in your organization for one day, which role would you take?
I think I would be a driver.
Huh.
Yeah, I think I would love just that moment of being the person that can walk into one of our customers, deliver the part just in time in the right quality that they're needing, and like see their face light up and know that I made it so somebody else could get to work or get to their kids or be able to go on with their day, and just be a part of that, I think would be spectacular.
What a great answer.
Thanks.
What is a fun or surprising fact? Now, your coworkers are going to be probably seeing this video, so you better answer
Be really
very
thoughtful.
carefully, okay? What's a fun or surprising fact about you that most people would not guess?
I think most people would not know how much I really want to be a biologist. And that, like, I'll walk through the botanical gardens in Atlanta with my family and one of my other nieces that lives with me, and she'll point out a flower and I can name the flower and I can tell you what season it's growing in. And that's just, it's a passion and something I really enjoy, and I think that's probably something people don't know or expect from me.
That's fantastic. What is the most memorable trip or vacation, or one of those most memorable trips or vacations that you've taken?
So my most memorable would be a trip to Costa Rica that I took with my husband. I was actually there for a work trip initially and then met up with him later, but we were hiking in Corcovado, which is pristine jungle, very similar to the Amazon on the Osa Peninsula. And we got to experience these 3 species of monkeys all playing together, flipping each other's tails, running around, and like engaging in a way that like, they didn't know that they were a squirrel monkey or a spider monkey or that they shouldn't be playing together. And it just gave me such a vision from a diversity perspective of like, if they can figure it out, we can figure it out too. And I loved it, and I love photographing that and being part of it. So,
What a great story.
yeah. It goes back to the biologist side.
I like it. Cassie, great to have you on
Thank you so
AMN
much.
Drive Time, sponsored by our friends at Aishin.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for including me.
Nice job.
Absolutely.